just dropping a shorter version of my Women Like Tall Men video. Do follow my work. Obviously, good motivation to continue. And let me begin. Now, I've seen a few comments. What I'm saying is, the tall man does not always get the girl. In fact, as I will show you, it's the short guy that can get through. Okay? So let me begin again. Let me kick off. Basically, as it stands, okay, as I said in my original video, women naturally, subconsciously anyway, are motivated to move towards taller guys. Okay, that's how it goes. Same way they like muscle, the same way men look at women and look at the hips, the curves, the body, and so forth. In terms of physicality, men and women look at each other the same. Okay? Okay. That does not mean to say women, well, you see, does not mean to say woman's going to date a guy who, how can I put this, who's short. I mean, she could be 5'5", he could be 5'10", and these guys are 6'2". Obviously, if she's aware of herself and she's conscious, then the heart issue, as long as he's taller than her, that's all that matters. Okay? A guy being 6'5", 6'2", that's an idealism. So when they go on these apps, they see it from an ideal point of view because they think there's going to be a big wealth of dearth of men out there to choose from. So ideally, I'm going to go for the guy 6 foot, tanned, looks like Beckham. That's my ideal kind of guy. As long as he talks good, that's a bonus. Okay? That makes perfect sense. Okay? So I'll say that again. When they're filling in these dating app things, because they think they're going to meet the ideal guy, they're then going to say they want a guy 6'7", looks like Beckham, whatever. But really and truly, we know the reality is different, you know. Because obviously, you know, it is what it is, you know. What someone not is who steps to her on the street level. Obviously, you know, the app thing is different in the sense that, you know, she thinks there's going to be a whole wealth of guys who are 6'2", 6'3". But the reality is, A, as the stat says, that's the minority, and B, it's got to be a two-way street, right? She might like the guy 6'2", but he may not be attracted to her. Okay? So that's how it works out. That's how it pans out. Okay? Do you see the long version of this video? You know, that breaks it down well. But as I've said, subconsciously, women gravitate towards taller guys anyway, in some cases. Or it could be or she may, subconsciously, she'll gravitate towards a tall guy, but she may also like the short guy who's got swagger and looks good and so forth. But regarding the subconscious, like I said in my first video, myself, tall friend of mine went out. He's 6'7". Me and him went out and went to this club in central London. Lo and behold, another guy was there. You know what I mean? We got talking because this other guy, listen, he dwarfed my friend. This guy's about 6'10", 6'11". And the reason I know this, because he said, "Hold on a second, mate. Yeah, you guys, cool, whatever. Wait till my brother comes over." As we said, wait till my brother comes over. Lo and behold, some guy was 7'2" or 7 foot. Man come over and his head was like craning over like where the ceiling was. That's how tall he was. And when I was looking around, all I saw was swarms of women just kind of like we were surrounded in a circle because women were dancing around us. And that's a subconscious thing. Because what this woman wanted was for just one man to even say, not even speak, tap her shoulder, maybe barge into her. She'll see that as an opening, and trust me, she'll start yapping. Okay, that's what's coming from. And yeah, the reason I say that, because I remember the tall dude. I think he's had I don't want to talk anyone's business, not that I know him, anything like that, but I think he had a certain connection. Not going to say, but yeah. But anyway, yeah, he connected me with something. But yeah, because we got talking for quite a while. So there was me, my friend who's 6'7", and this other guy who dwarfed my friend, and he had a brother that even taller than him. It was a madness. But anyway, the whole part I'm making was this woman was fucking around, but hey, it was doing their thing. But back to the internet thing. You know, women in the internet, it's like a scattergun effect, okay? Again, like I said, targeting the 6 foot guys, seeing what's out there, and it's got to be reciprocated, as we know. But as having said that, having said that, height is not a factor if you've got no game. Okay, if you have no game whatsoever, height doesn't come into it. Because as I said in the first video, a friend of mine is practically 5 foot. My man gets it in. You wouldn't mind me saying? In fact, I'll send this to him. But my man be shooting porn videos. Okay, my man be stepping out of girl. He's probably 6 foot and he's only 5 foot. But because he's got that charm and that talk, you know, I've heard him in action, and he's good. He's got the charm, the patter, the confidence, and the way he just, you know, women live into him. Okay, don't forget, Tupac the rapper was quite short, and women love him because of his charisma. My friend here is exactly the same. Now the funny thing is, as I said in the original video, another friend of mine, 6'2", no game whatsoever. In fact, Central London hooked him up. Makes nice, fine girl, more his type, bit plump, you know, that kind of market. I knew she would buy it, and she did. Showed her his picture. She said, yes, that's me. I want that. Her words. Exchanged numbers. They got in contact. My man's talk was poor. So poor that she even knocked me off. And it took a while for me to get talking to her, and it all came out. You know? And he tried to make the excuse, as I said, about age. She said, nope, maybe. She didn't say no, she said maybe, maybe not. Which is female code for age is not a factor, just that you didn't finish the job. End of story. But having said that, I've got another guy who's very short, he's got quite a bit of money, but he's not in the mix. Because women, you know what I mean, they're not gonna see how wealthy you are, you know? And even there, they're not going to stick around. They'll rinse him for money. Then they just bounce. Okay? So the tall guy here in this case, yes, got the height, but no game. The short guy with excessive game and skill, who eats more than many, more than often. He probably eats more than most tall guys do, because he's actually about that life. But hey, that's him. And the short guy with money, boom, not happening for him at all. And that's how it goes. You know what I mean? So, yeah. That's the rules in a nutshell, but that's real life. The online thing is different, and more time than not, women are just, the online thing is a backup, because if they're out and about, men will step to them. As long as she's a good 4.5 upwards, she's gonna have guys step into her. That's how it goes. Okay. Now another thing, obviously, there's an element of the protector. I said in some of the commentaries regarding this whole thing. Basically, it comes down to a number of things: genetics, height as well, which you mentioned, genetics, and obviously, you know, culture and conditioning. Because in many cases, all these women are looking for, you know, the guy to give them, you know. Okay, I'll give 2 examples of 2 different women, both the same racial category. I understand the caste system element in all this, but it's funny how they both chose the same kind of guy and it didn't work out. Both chose Caucasian guys who were very, very tall, but they made sure they had kids from these guys, their children from these guys, and it just didn't work out and they bounced. And guess who they chose in both cases? They chose guys from their own, or they chose the complete opposite, which is black guys. Okay? So it's like they probably, like I said, got with the Caucasian guy, copulated, had children, knowing that it probably wouldn't work out in the long term. In both cases, both girls were like, kept it stum to see where it was going, but both the outcomes were the same. Ended it, black guy, Asian guy, whatever, whoever it was, and they bounced. That's it. So just moving on to a few comments before I wrap up. A few comments that are actually on the video, and I'll empathise with that. Here's a good comment. I would imagine those guys over 6 foot are not in need of the apps either. Correct. You know, you may use it, you may not, but more time than not, if a man's tall and he's out there and about, then he'll probably get checked. It's a question if he has the game to acknowledge that and pick up on that and work the angle. If she throws him a beeline, does he have the game to work it or not? That's what that comes down to. Here's one. I guess I'm rare as I'm a 6'3" woman. Exactly. And that's funny. That's interesting. Because I've actually hooked up some of my tall friends, including my friend that was 6'7", whatever. She was like 6'2", this girl. She's a model. When they got talking, hooked him up. And because there's few guys that actually of that height, He just walked in there because he's got a game anyway. Yeah, it linked up perfectly and it worked. But anyhow, this is it. That's a cut version of this. Do feel free to follow my page. And yeah, more to come. Okay, bye.